Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. So, welcome to the podcast.
One more time.
Welcome to the podcast. Because it's daytime. And it's sunny.
And it's a day.
And it's
a Monday.
Monday. Day of money day? Money day?
Every day's money day around here.
Anybody ever think of that besides me?
No, not until you just said it. Did you just not think of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then, yeah, I did think about it, too. It's a pretty Monday, though. It's not a gloomy Monday.
Fall day. Brisk temperatures. Not much wind, but some slight, breeze.
A fall breeze.
Fall breeze, a little leaves rustling in the breeze. It's like we're really trying to get this poetic thing going here.
Yeah. I feel like we're setting the scene.
Sunny day, not many clouds up there. Looking out the window, I don't really see one yet, but
Me neither.
it's a great day to do a podcast inside, so
Then it's a great day to get a walk in.
yeah, get your miles in. I recommend everyone do at least 40 miles per day on the treadmill, Stairmaster. Same time, one leg on each one. And it looks like our guest is waiting, so we should probably let him in.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm super humbled to be on.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
You're
I always get nervous with these blog interviews. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's almost like being on like a job interview. You always want to say the right things.
Hopefully it's not that much pressure, but we'll try to keep it laid back and conversational.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong answers.
If you just want to kind of start off by telling us a little bit about you, that'd be cool.
Me, all right. I'm Colin Daring. I recently turned 50. That's always the question. Let me see. I'm always trying to be super positive. I'm the one that always looks at the glass as half full. And I don't know, just like I enjoy helping people, especially when it comes down to like training and things like that. Just let people know that it's not really about aesthetics for me anymore, as I've grown into training and just my life in general. It's more about just how you feel inside versus how you look outside first.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think there's power in taking the aesthetics outside of your training of any sort. Like, even though that's how most people find themselves starting, I think once people get into it and see the mental and even like how they physically feel, not even just how they look, they realize it's so much more than just the aesthetics of working out.
Once those endorphins start getting released into your system, like, it's, for lack of a better word, man, it's like, it's just a natural high that you get after working out. Like, yesterday I do a class on Sundays, like a little boot camp thing. And one of the girls she was visibly upset when she came to class. And mentally in my head, I just said, once you start moving around, you'll feel a lot better. So I just took a moment and told everybody to just be present and not think about, the list of things you have to do later on or before you got here, or the upsetting phone call just when you arrive. Just be present and you'll be good. And then by the end of the class, man, she was a total different person.
Yeah. The power of exercise, man. I'm telling you.
My wife and I have a vegan restaurant.
That's really interesting, though. Tell us a little bit about the restaurant.
It's called Greedy Vegan, and it started from, my wife was a vegan, raised vegan, right? I wasn't. My family's West Indian, so a lot of meat, things like that. But I think around the age of 15 or 16, I started getting turned off from eating meat in particular, pork, I would say. After like reading some book, and they was like doing an experiment, and you cook the meat and you leave it outside and you still get worms and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I stopped eating meat around 18. I met my wife. She was raised vegan. and it worked. So I sometimes would eat chicken or fish, no red meat, stuff like that. So Greedy Vegan started from me doing challenges with my friends. I used to call it 10-day vegan. So usually around the 5th day is where you start going like, oh, I need meat. Just basically because you're just mentally trained for years that there has to be some sort of meat. You got to get protein from meat, things like that. And it was always a big hit. So my wife is super entrepreneurial. This is like our 3rd business. She said, yo, we should really open a restaurant, which was a back talk for years. I was a little leery. Honestly, it was all her drive that made us open a restaurant, because I'm like, I'm scared. I don't want to do it. I got a good job. She had an amazing job. We opened a small restaurant first, and we just kind of tested it for about a year. And then we opened a 2nd location, which is where we are now. And it's basically just our take on vegan food. So it's kind of like vegan soul food. She's from the South, so she makes a great vegan mac and cheese. If you believe it or not, no dairy in the mac and cheese. So we have something called a soul bowl, which is like yams, kale, maybe a grain of the day, or the mac and cheese, and a substitute meat product like a chicken or fish.
That sounds so good.
We've been here about 2 years now. It's been doing really good, and it's a big hit around town, and we're just, just happy to be here. So that goes along with my diet. Is I would say I'm more pescatarian and straight up vegan, because I do eat fish every now and then, but 99% of my meals are vegan, is a vegan meal.
That's really cool. I tried veganism for a few months, just as kind of testing it out, to what it was all about. And it was really challenging to transition from full meat to vegan. And I wouldn't consider it obviously a full vegan, because I didn't jump into, did something I eat have a byproduct or something in it like that. But for me, it was a huge transition, just even going maybe 70% vegan.
It is. I'm not one to run around saying, hey, I'm vegan, you should be vegan, because I believe that along with the vegan lifestyle, it can get pretty expensive to eat healthy. And it's just from where you are in the world, what access you have to eat that way. So there's a lot of components that go into it that I'm not one to just advocate, hey, you should be vegan, because sometimes you just can't afford it.
It's kind of unfortunate that it can't, be lower prices for healthier options. Not necessarily saying all vegan options are healthier, but you see that you can get stuff so cheap that is unhealthy for you, and then when you try to get, some better food, sometimes it's a little bit more expensive.
Exactly. Like you can get, a burger, fries, and a drink at McDonald's for like $4 versus a salad, which is going to be, $8, $9. So your choice is always going to be like, I'm watching my expenses. I'm going to go over here and eat this burger and these French fries. And despite the fact that it tastes so good, that it'll hook you, the salts and the sugars. And if you're not mentally aware that that stuff is no good, then you'll just continue to eat it. And you know what? Society actually, as you get older, it's kind of like it's acceptable to get sick. Oh, I'm older, I'm going to get diabetes. It's kind of like I'm supposed to be sick at a certain age, or I'm supposed to not move a certain way at a certain age because I'm older, and that's just the acceptable norm. And if people would just, if they had changed their diet a lot earlier and be more conscious, as you get a certain age, you will feel a whole lot better. You just got to continue to move.
Yeah, very true. That it is a very culturally accepted thing to kind of let yourself go, once you hit a certain age.
Yes.
And I think that age is kind of scary, getting lower and lower.
You know what? It really is, because I can see people half my age in way worse shape than I am. And when, I try to explain to them, hey, look, this is what you may need to do. You might need to change up some things. And they're already saying it's hard. They're already like, I'm type 1 diabetes. I'm already taking insulin. And I'm just like, wow, well, you can change that with the diet. Like, You don't have to just automatically jump on a pill or jump on an injection, and you can change your diet and change your health. And it's actually, the crazy thing is, a lot of people think it's more radical to change your diet than to go to the hospital and take pills. It's crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Life expectancy is going up due to the availability and science of medicine, but
yes,
but we're getting more diseases at a younger age. Like,
yes,
we're contradicting ourselves here a little bit.
That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah, life expectancy goes up, but quality of life tends to go down now.
Yeah.
Right. That right there is a fact.
Now that you say you're not in it for the physique part of it, what motivates you now to train?
For me now, it's more with everything that's going on in the world. It kind of just helps me mentally just stay grounded and rooted, and not be so stressed out, you know. I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is drink a glass of water with some lime. I meditate for maybe 10-15 minutes, nothing crazy. I've introduced yoga back into my workout regime, so I do some yoga, stretch and things like that, and then just start my day. So for me, the training aspect is more of just more of a balance physically and mentally inside, than it is more of an outside aesthetic, you know?
I think the mental part too is really important to talk about.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, your mentality, you know, I mean, you can't do anything if your mental health and the way you perceive life and everything is in the gutter.
Yes. For me, I stay more positive because I try to just be more grateful for everything. And once you attach being grateful for something, it just makes it a whole lot better. So say I have $1 in my pocket, I'm grateful for this $1 because you know what? Somebody, if you go to any corner in New York, there's somebody on the corner begging for $1, begging for change. So I'm just grateful that, you know, I have $1. I'm just grateful that I'm healthy. So mentally it's more of, I want to say a stimulant, but just more of like a balance that just keeps me more sane, and just being able to just say, you know what, people look at me and say, oh, he's an older person, but you know, let me strive to be the way he is.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing, to be kind of like a role model for people, and somebody to say, or to look at and say, hey, I want to be like that when I'm 50, you know, somebody that's, you know, 20 yes. or 18 or 30, somebody that you can look at and say, you know, of all the people that are out there, you know, living maybe an unhealthier lifestyle and have, you know, certain medical issues that are due to a sedentary lifestyle, it's good to have those people out there too, like you, that are living that healthier lifestyle that they can look up to and say, it is possible.
Yes. And that's part of the whole thing too. If you see somebody doing it, it makes it so much more of a tangible thing that you can actually go and do it. Like, I saw this guy do it. You know what? If he can do it, I can do it to a certain extent. You know what I mean?
What got you into fitness, the very kind of beginning aspects of it?
My father brought me a weight bench at like maybe 16, 17. And he was the first person that kind of introduced me into, you know, trying to stay in shape and being a little bit strong. I was a little frail. My brother must have got all the good genes. He was a big 6'3", stocky guy. That was a little runt. So he was like, I think I was doing bad in school or something, because I remember the conversation. And he said, if you're not going to be strong in mind, you need to be strong in body. He said, because you're going to get a construction job because you're not going to be behind the desk. So he's like, you need to start getting strong. So he was the first person that kind of introduced me into working out, stuff like that. It was nothing crazy, just a little weight bench for Christmas. After that, I went into the Army right out of high school. And the physical training aspect, there was a lot of ego. You wanted to be at the top. So I started hitting the gym just to outperform the guys in the platoon, to have that edge up, because we would do physical, PT training. Then we had the course at the end. So then I wanted to be a PT master. So I would hit the gym to just get stronger and then outperform everybody. And then we would do these road marches. I was in the 25th ID out of Hawaii, Schofield Barracks. We would do these 25-mile road marches, and I wanted to carry the M60, which is a big gun. So a lot of people, after 25 miles with an extra, 30 pounds of equipment, you can't do it. So I wanted to get stronger to carry that M60 gun. I wanted to be the gunner.
I'm assuming you succeeded in that mission?
I did. I definitely did. There was a time where it was more about aesthetics and ego. So I wanted to get bigger. I would walk around literally with like 2 potatoes in my pocket just to continuously eat, because my metabolism was so high that I had to continuously eat and eat and eat and eat just to keep my weight on. So I would just have food in my pockets at all times, just eating.
That's pretty cool. It's almost like the people that carry around the big water bottles, except you're doing it with food.
Yes, like potatoes and tuna sandwiches, and it was just constant. And that's when after a couple, maybe a year or so, I did put on weight, but it wasn't aesthetically. I was just big. I wasn't cut up. I was strong. And after a while, it was so hard to maintain that I just said I couldn't do it anymore. I remember reading the book, and the character in the book was saying that he wanted to slim down and have a warrior body. And that just kind of always stuck with me, that I was saying maybe I was doing something that was against the way that I should actually physically be, because I was really forcing myself to maintain that weight, and it was really hard. So then I just kind of switched up and stopped trying to compete, stopped trying to be the biggest guy in the room, because it was too much to do.
I think a lot of guys feel kind of the pressure to be the biggest guy in the room, or to, put on weight for other people, not necessarily to fulfill their own needs or wants.
And that's something that I say will come later in life, when you really truly start to accept who you are, what you're going to look like. And then if you tailor your workout to that aesthetic, you'll get a better result. I weigh about 175 pounds, and I can fluctuate up to about 180 comfortably and down to 170. So I kind of just rotate depending on the season, basically, because in the summertime, talking about training, in the summer, I switch my workouts totally in a different direction. I'm always outside. I'm always in the sun. There's some sort of park, a lot more cardio, and I'm always moving around. So I definitely slimmed down, and I'm way leaner. But I figured out a way to maintain my strength at a leaner mass. And in the winter, as it's starting to get cooler now, I do a lot more heavier lifting. And it's not to say that, that I'm like bulking or trying to get big. It just goes with the way I'm feeling. I'm a lot slower. There's less sun, so I'm not as energetic. I'm not outside as much. I haven't even been back to the gym yet, even though they are open. I'm still outside, still training in the backyard. I just feels, as long as the weather's nice, I want to be outside. And then as it starts to get cool, I'll be back in the building.
Gotcha. So the gym isn't really your preferred workout destination. It's more outside based.
I still love the gym, honestly, but in the summer, I want to be outside. I do not want to be inside of a building. And especially, the winters could get really cold and just long and strenuous. And yeah, I'm inside the whole time. So then when spring comes around, I break outside. So then I'll change my workout up. I find that in the summer, I do a lot more fasting, either throughout the day or twice a week than I would do in the winter.
On purpose, or do you just find yourself getting carried away with the day in the summer?
A mix of both. There's I usually pick one day a week that I know I'm going to fast, but then throughout the week, if I eat a good breakfast, I won't eat again until, I want to say, maybe 8-10 hours later in the day. So like a real big intermittent fast, and I'm just drinking water or a lot of fruit, stuff like that. I just find that mentally it's more my mentally saying, hey, you need to go and eat, than what I'm physically feeling like I need to eat.
Gotcha.
Did I say that right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So what benefits have you seen from doing that kind of fasting?
Man, I want to say more clarity. Your head's not as cloudy when you're just your body is kind of rejuvenating itself without anything in your stomach. I always feel lighter, like my eyes are a little sharper. I just feel a little bit more refreshed when I'm fasting in that way.
Do you feel like you're more in tune with like your bodily cues almost, like your hunger cues? Like, do they go up or down, and like, are you full or faster, or like, does your meal size change when you fast, stuff like that?
You know what? My meal sizes don't change. I can definitely feel the dip in my energy level. I know when it's coming on. I know how long it's going to last. And I know if I can fight through or not. Because there's some days where I'm like, I know I'm fasting, but, I just can't do it. I just break down. I gotta eat something.
Right.
And for some reason, I was thinking, maybe I'm like hypoglycemic and I have to eat. But then it's just really just me not being mentally prepared for that day to fast. But then on that one day a week where I know I'm going to fast, I'm already gearing up to say, you know what, I'm not going to eat at all. I'm just going to have this water in the morning, and that's going to be it.
I think a cool thing to think about too, you just said, was to prepare for it and mentally prepare for it. It's probably going to be pretty challenging, especially the first few times that you do it. I mean, most people aren't taking that long between meals. They're eating, a lot of food. They're eating.
Yes.
They're eating.
And for me, what I saw with a lot of people is that the portions are so big that when they're eating, they're eating to just be so full that there's no space in their stomach, and then that's when they're satisfied.
Right.
Where I would mainly explain to them, like, you only need to eat till you're about maybe 80% full, 70% full, not to the point where you're in the brink of, I can't put another spoon in my mouth. And then, digest your food. You're overeating. And then that just tends to, that connection again with, I need to eat. I need to eat. I need to eat. And it's more so mentally just being trained, 3 meals a day, a little meal here, snacks and things like that. Once you kind of get away from that and break that pattern, especially with a fast, that first one is really rough to kind of get through that day on a fast when you're eating in that type of way. I would say do 6 hours. 6 hours is really easy, tell you the truth. Then, try to bump it up, add another 2 hours to it. And then 24 hours, it'll come, just take steps, levels to it, and it'll happen. There are times where I end up fasting because there's just no vegan options to eat if I'm out and about. So I just say, you know what, I just won't eat. I don't need anything. And I'll just wait till I get home, or if I get back to the restaurant, then I'll have something to eat. Something else that was new for me in regards to fasting was working out on an empty stomach, which was something I always felt like I could never do.
That's
like
how
I would have people say, I didn't eat, but I'm going to train. I'm just like, how could you not have fuel in your system when you're training? Because we were lifting pretty heavy weights, and that just gave me a cue to say, you know what, I'm going to try it out a few times, and now I feel like I can get through a pretty intense workout with no food at all. It's a different type of feeling. I can't put it into words. It'll come to me and I'll explain it.
Did you feel?
It's actually it feels pretty good to work out on it.
Did you feel like during maybe a prolonged working out on an empty stomach, did you feel like you were craving foods, like really unhealthy foods ever?
No, I felt like after the workout, I would be starving. It would be like maybe an hour later where I've calmed down, adrenaline is gone, endorphins are wearing off. Then I would really feel like I need to eat something. And then I could really just almost for the first couple of times, I felt like I was just binge eating just to really just refuel. But it felt like whatever I was eating was going to the right place.
Gotcha.
Like it felt I was absorbing a lot more of the nutrients out of the food after working out on an empty stomach.
So in your videos and stuff on Instagram, I see you doing a lot of like cool tricks and stuff when you work out, just like stuff that most people wouldn't do. Like, what inspired you to do that, to come up with that kind of stuff? Or did you come up with it?
No, that in particular, like the kettlebells, things like that. That is actually like a age-old Russian circus act that turned into a Russian sport. It's kettlebell juggling. I saw it. I actually saw it online. It was like, that looks like something I could never do. But then when seeing it, I was like, I can do that. But my approach to kettlebell juggling is totally different from the Russian style of kettlebell juggling, which is, all right, so say it's like a dance. The Russian kettlebell style of juggling is more like a waltz. It's like 1, 2, 3, then there's basically a pause, like a static hold where you kind of catch the bell. They pause, they wait for the applaud, and then they start again. And their movements are pretty specific, and they get graded on how they move through the bell. There's different ways to turn the handle of the bell that gets to a point, different ways to catch it, and the pause that they always do, though. So they actually have it down to a science where they can grade each other, and they score, and then they have competition. My style to that is a little bit more of a freestyle. I don't pause. I was always in the mindset of, I'm going to do this for a minute straight and just keep the bell rotating. After a while, the Russian style is to keep the bell mostly out in front of you, and it's harder to keep the bell going nonstop when it's in front of you. For me, I figured out it's easier to keep the bell moving if I'm going left to right. And then, so I'm actually I speak to a lot of Russian kettlebell jugglers and kettlebell guys, and they love the way that I do it. And they say it's refreshing to see a different style. And then they got the hardcore jugglers that are like, you're doing it wrong. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Let me teach you. And I'm just like, I'm always listening and always just trying to absorb different ways to do it. But I keep going back to just my rhythm, because there's a rhythm to the moving the bell, and it just I started to love it because of that rhythm. And it's just a mental kind of like man, you get a mental high just from knowing the timing of the way the bell is rotating and catching it, releasing. There's a lot to do with your breath control. So there's like perfect timing to just the movement itself, so that you're not breathing the wrong way. You're catching it at the right time, and you're already thinking about how you're going to release it, catch it again, and go to the next step. So there's always like your mind is always clicking on where the bell's going to be and where you want it to go.
That's pretty cool. How many times did you drop that thing on your toe when you started out?
Wow. Man, I dropped it on my toe at least. I still drop it on my toe, to tell you the truth. But at least 50 times, where you start to know exactly when you miss that bell, you just kind of move, and it kind of trains you on where you're going to be. The worst one was it hit my ankle.
Ooh.
Oh, it dropped and flipped back and hit my ankle. At the time, I was like, oh, it's okay. But the next day, I couldn't walk.
Oh, my gosh.
My ankle swelled up, and I was like, wow. So after a hit like that, you definitely know to jump out the way. Yeah. And you can tell when somebody's new, they just kind of, they let it drop and they stand there, and you're looking at them like, move, and they don't move, and they hit them. It's like and I'm like, you learn the hard way, basically. There's also, in China, there's something similar to a kettlebell. It's called a lock, which is a stone rectangle with a piece of wood in the middle. And they would use the locks for irrigation. So they would block the irrigation holes with these locks. And the Chinese people would juggle the locks the way the Russians would juggle the kettlebells.
Interesting.
And I'm just kind of researching. So I kind of blended both styles of juggling, weight juggling, and that's how I kind of came up with my own style.
Do you use any of the lock style things too?
I want to try, but they don't sell them in the States. I don't even know how to get my hands on them. I've actually seen a Chinese trainer that does the juggling with the locks. You just gave me an idea. I'm going to reach out to him and ask him, how can I get one of those?
Yeah, that'd be cool to see one of those videos too, for sure.
Yeah. So that is definitely on the program for the idea to get one.
Yeah, and it'd be cool too. I don't know if you're crafty at all with any of that, but to maybe like build your own and like make some of your own if you can't find them. That'd be kind of cool too.
I'm actually I use a mace also, which is the bar with the little ball at the end.
Right.
And a lot of people make maces based on the Indian technique of making a gada, which is like a flower pot with concrete, put the stick in the middle. So I have an idea to make my own mace with just some metal tubing and a stick. I've been to a couple of metal places and they're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm just got to find the right one.
Have you ever tried to do it to like a certain song, like to the rhythm of a certain song?
I actually feel better when I'm juggling to music than without it.
I can understand that.
Because I can kind of catch the rhythm of like a drum beat.
Right.
And then it just works a lot better. Yeah, it feels better.
Gotcha.
So I'm always juggling. Yeah.
Is there a specific music genre that's better to do it than another one?
For my tempo, kind of like electric sort of house music has the right tempo for me when I'm juggling. So I kind of lean towards that. If not, then it's kind of like a hip hop sort of it's like a boom bap type of beat that works really well too.
So do you do is that just kind of something you do like as your workout, or is that something you do in addition to your workout? What's that kind of like?
That is something I do in addition to the workout.
Gotcha. So what's your...
Or just do it by itself. Gotcha. Because juggling a kettlebell is serious cardio.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I lift heavy, then I would just take maybe 30 minutes and just juggle a kettlebell, and that'll be my cardio workout. Because you're constantly, and then the bell is moving, and the inertia of trying to move the bell, and there's like a tense moment as you catch it, just to stabilize your body, and then you got to release to get it back over to the other side. So it's serious cardio workout. You would definitely need to try it to understand it.
I was gonna say maybe I should start doing that as my cardio.
Yeah, even just like a good kettlebell swing for set a timer and go for 2 minutes and nonstop. That's cardio right there.
Yeah, actually, for some reason,
I want to see that.
For some reason, I just decided to not do that, but do something like that the other day. Just out of the blue, I picked up a kettlebell and I was like, I'm gonna do 10 minutes of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for a kettlebell swing. And I was just like, I don't know why I decided to do it, but I decided to do it. And It definitely left me sore for a couple days.
That's a serious, and a lot of people don't understand the kettlebell because it's just like this little foreign object, especially in the States where we're more used to like dumbbells and things like that. So I think once you get introduced to the kettlebell and you start to see the feeling, the more the results, I think a lot of people tend to like it. In my little group, I was one of the first ones to start using the kettlebell, and then everybody was like, "Why are you even? I don't want to use that." And it was just for me, I'm always trying to learn something new and just introduce something into my training to get a different sort of feel. So kind of won them over on starting to use it, and now it's in everybody's workout now.
The classes you do, do you incorporate that as well?
Yes, that is part of the root of the workout, because it just introduces a lot of people into something different that they haven't done before, because everybody's been to some sort of boot camp, and then it's like you're doing a burpee, you're running around, the basic stuff, and just to add a little bit more engagement, a little bit more resistance, and just open their minds to having a weight in their hand versus just constantly trying to do sort of cardio.
Yeah.
Especially for women, the first thing a woman would say when she comes to me is, "Oh, I want to do cardio. I want to lose weight." And I'm just like, you can use weights to lose weight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say one of the bigger misconceptions of women and fitness is the fact that cardio is the one and only and the best way to lose weight.
Yes, and it's so not the case.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I think you bring up a good point. You see all these like boot camps and classes where it's all just like HIIT style cardio, circuit style training. And you can get bored in that type of stuff, in those type of classes. It's fun to bring in something like new for your mental gains too. Like you're physically doing something new, but you're also mentally gaining new information, and your body's learning how to move in different ways, which is like also affecting, like your mental, like your brain has to work as you're learning these new movements.
I always get the feedback of, I'm not coordinated enough to do that. Like, oh, I'm clumsy, I can't do that. And I'm just like, if you can get up out of a chair, then you can swing a kettlebell. Like, it's really not that intense. And it just works, like you said, more mental, to just kind of make that mental connection to your body to move in a timely fashion, in a certain way, to create force and to absorb force and just feel good around doing it.
Right.
I think the coolest part of it is just the fact that it's something else that we can try. It's something else, another option for people out there. A lot of people say, I don't like going to the gym, or I don't like running, and that's where it stops. But there's just so many great things you can do. For
me, the introduction to kettlebells and mace bars was just me being bored in the gym of just, I'm doing squats, deadlift, bench press, squats, deadlift, bench press. I'm just like, I felt like there has to be so much more to what I'm doing right now, just to add something, another level. I had started to do like a offset weighted bent over row, and it was hard to do with the conventional equipment in the gym, like a regular bar and a plate. Led me to the mace bar, and then the mace bar led me to the kettlebell, and then that has just taken, I want to say it's 50-50 right now, because I still do traditional bench press, squat, but then on the other side I'm always doing some sort of kettlebell workout.
Is that traditional work? Is that programmed work, or is that just kind of as you feel like doing it?
Oh, I actually program my personal training or along with clients every month. I switch the training up. So there's always a program as far as the way my training is going to go. But now I write the kettlebell stuff into the training also. Gotcha. Whereas before it would be like, it'd be a strength month, and I'm focusing on, first week I'm at 315, add 15, you know how the levels go as far as like strength training. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Right. So what is it like when somebody sees you doing the stuff with the kettlebells? Like and they come up to you, like, is it just like shock, or like, what are you doing, man? I want to try that. Or is it just like, what's the reaction for people?
The reaction is always, first, how heavy is that? Second, how long did it take you to be able to do that? Those are always the first two questions. And then it's always, it's amazing, I've never seen it before. And in my head, after, I'm watching people on Instagram, I'm like, I see tons of people doing it. But the reality is a lot of people, if they haven't even seen a kettlebell, because there's so much to seeing dumbbells. And if they have, nobody's throwing it around over their head. So, after you take a step back, you say, you know what, it's probably right. The funny thing now is when I'm in the parks, people will actually say, hey, that's the guy that doubles the kettlebell.
That's cool.
Like they know that I'm the guy from like Instagram or something.
Does that kind of like help your business?
Yeah, that's a little bit more. It does help my business.
That's good. That's
kind of like the draw. Yeah, it's the draw to say, he has to be that good if he's doing what he's doing. So I want to work out with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice you would share with somebody about what they're missing when it comes to fitness?
What I normally tell people is a lot of people have a fear of training or working out because they feel like they need to look like a certain way. And I normally tell my clients that you are going to look like you, the way that you need to look first and foremost. And not to worry about what everybody else is thinking about you or what you think about them, but more so focus on just feeling good about the progress, the steps that you're taking. The hardest part for a lot of people is just getting to the gym.
Yeah.
Not even the training, not even the physical workout, is actually just walking through the doors to say, I'm changing my lifestyle. It could be really daunting for a lot of people to just say, you know what, I want to make a change. And I always tell clients, the change is for you, and you have to know that that's something that you want to do for yourself first. If you're doing it for your partner, it's not going to work. If you're doing it because you want to look a certain way, it's not going to work. If you have a goal, sometimes that may help. Say you have a wedding coming up. But what I notice is a lot of people start and then they stop because they haven't really felt like they need it yet. And that's when they might need a little push, but I never drag. Like, I'm not going to drag you into the gym with me because I'll drag you the whole way because you mentally don't want to be there. There has to be that mental part to say, I want to make this change happen. Like a little nudge, like, hey, I'm here. I've had clients, they would pay for, a whole month of sessions and come to one session. And, I'll call them, oh, I got to do this. The schedule is more important than themselves. And I always say, look, you got to at least take 2 hours of the day for yourself. 30 minutes to travel, hour to work out, 30 minutes to get home or less, even if you have to lose some sleep, I'm like, you're important and you got to put yourself on that priority list. It's like that, and a lot of people really will put everything else in front of themselves and then get to the point where they're completely broken down. They have nothing left to give. And then they're mad at everybody else because they've given everybody else so much. I don't know if they actually expecting something in return, but it's like you just can't pour from an empty cup. Once you deplete it, that's when you're sick and broken down and you just can't go anymore. And I always say Sundays is like your Kickstarter. I always say just let you see that you can do it at least one day a week. Even a workout one day a week is going to last for about 3 days in your system, like the feel, and then you have to rejuvenate. So it's like, let me give you the kickstart, and then after 3 days you'll be sore a little bit. You wake up, you do some squats in the house, do something, but stretch and keep going.
That's it. Small steps, baby steps, and definitely start seeing those results.
At some point there has to be a switch in you personally to say, this is what I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't happen for everybody.
Absolutely. That's kind of the sad thing, is that as much as we might want it for somebody else, we have to let them discover that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always say, I tell them in advance, you are going to stop. It's going to be a point where you say,
you're going to relapse.
I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Relapse. Yeah. You're going to say, I don't want to get out of bed. I want to go and have this fried chicken, and I'm going to eat crazy. I want these pies and cakes. And that's what it is. Until you get to that point where you're actually saying, you know what, I don't want to live like this anymore, and I don't want to do this anymore, you'll just continue to relapse. You'll work out for a little bit, then you'll go right back. And then at some point in time, you got to say, you know what, that's when you make the choice of either I'm going to be over here eating crazy, getting fat and sick, or I'm going to start training and feeling good and being healthy.
Right. And the one time you make that relapse, not occur, like maybe it's a 1-day relapse rather than a 3-month thing, that is the light bulb moment, I think, it was for me when I was like, okay, this is like, exercise really makes me feel good. Like, even when I don't want to do it and I don't want to be here, I still feel good.
You know what? That's something that you learn over time too, is that when you don't want to work out and you go and work out, those are the best workouts.
Yeah.
It's been really good talking to you, man, and thanks for coming on, and I think we both really learned a lot. And
thank you for having me. All right, guys. I appreciate you.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
So, that's it. Thanks for listening in. I think it was very informal for me, educational. I don't know if informal is the word. It's informing.
Informing.
Yeah, it was definitely something where I learned something, because I had no idea what, the juggling was. I thought it was really cool, and I thought, this guy knows something that we don't know, so we got to talk to him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a whole sport.
Yeah, it's really cool, the fact that he took from a sport and kind of made it his own kind of thing with the freestyle thing, and really cool, as well as the vegan lifestyle and the fasting, I think are two kind of interesting and noteworthy topics for sure.
For sure. We'll have to do that and then make a podcast on our fasting experiences.
Oh, yeah, and our juggling experiences. We'll have to film that and then put it on the YouTubes and Instagrams, and also just like all the outtakes and where we break our toes.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe we should put on
steel-toe boots,
construction equipment.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, thanks for hanging around, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on all the podcast channels. YouTube, don't forget that as well. We're on there. Find us on Instagram at daniel.personaltraining.
And Holly with 2 Y's Vols.
And we'll have all the links to everybody's social medias in the description. And don't forget, stay healthy, try some new things that you learned, and subscribe to the podcast.
And leave a review.
And a rating. It's all good. It's all good. We really appreciate that. So until next time, this is Daniel and Holly from the weight room, and we are out.